Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Televised Podcast. My name's Anna, and today we're going to be doing a decade rewind, kind of. This is basically going to be my favorite of movies and TV in the past decade and of 2019, which we're actually going to talk about first. We're going to talk about 2019 first, which I'm really excited to talk about because I think 2019 was like a really, really great year for some great movies that I saw and some great TV that I've been watching. So, I'm really excited to talk about it. But like I said before, this is not really like a best of 2019. This is very much just my favorite things that I've watched because honestly, while making this list, I realized just how little TV I actually watch. Like, I love TV, but I can't watch everything. So, like that's how I feel now in these days of streaming. You just cannot possibly watch everything. So there's obviously going to be quite a few shows that I missed, and maybe some shows that I've watched but I just don't want to talk about. Maybe they weren't that good. I'm gonna give honorable mentions, obviously, just to other stuff that I've seen. But also, I mean, hey, if you hear of a show that you watched in 2019 that you thought was awesome, leave it in the comments or tweet me. Let me know what you loved during 2019. Same with movies. Like, if there's a movie that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that you didn't watch that, then go for it. Like, let me know. I'm really excited to hear. And it feels like so long since I've sat down to record an episode, which it kind of has been. So the next time that you'll hear from me is January, whatever, whenever the episode airs, the new Crisis episode. I'll do like a big episode. I won't split that one just because they will air on the same night. So it's probably, obviously, it's not going to be as singular as the other parts were. So I will just do one big episode for the last two crossover parts, and then we will go back to our regularly scheduled Supergirl programming. And yeah, so also new year means new of these deep dive episodes. Sorry that this is not on a Saturday like it normally would be. I just decided that it'd be really fun to look back on 2019, like the day of New Year's, like just the moment that we come into this new decade, we can take a look back at what we've seen over the past 10 years and then also, what we've seen over the past 12 months. And so I think that's cool. I hope you don't mind too much. And I also just, hope everyone had great Christmas, if that's what you celebrate, great Hanukkahs, great any holiday that you celebrate. I hope you guys had such a great holiday. Hopefully you spent it with people that you enjoy. I know the holidays can be rough for some people, and I hope that you are healthy and happy wherever you are and whatever you celebrate and whatever you're doing. And I hope that everyone has a great New Year's Day, obviously. And I just, yeah, I think that's all for the pleasantries today. But anyway, so like I said, though, new year means new deep dives. So if you are itching for me to do something, some kind of topic that, you've been wanting to kind of have explored and delved into, I am super open to suggestions of kind of deep dives. If you are so inclined, you could comment or tweet me, whatever you feel. I have been sitting on a Pitch Perfect episode, and originally I actually recorded the whole thing, and it was kind of like a focus on Pitch Perfect and also Elizabeth Banks. And now I kind of want to do it like, cause I recorded it before Charlie's Angels came out. And now I kind of want to do it like with a different angle. The attitude about Pitch Perfect versus the attitude about Charlie's Angels, and how Elizabeth Banks, plays into all of this, because I think she's an extremely influential woman in our movie and TV industry, especially as a producer. There's so many producer slots that she's filled that I'm like, whoa, you produce that? That's crazy. But anyway, yeah, so let me know if that's something you would be interested in, because I know that I talked about it before, because Pitch Perfect is one of my favorite franchises. They're one of my favorite movies. The second one is like the bomb. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. Anyway, let's get on to the actual list. So this is my faves of 2019, my favorite movies that I've seen. They're kind of in order. I mean, because the top number one is like my favorite movie of 2019, but really anything like below that is kind of like, could be, they could be switched around, but the more important ones are going to be at the end of this list, because we're going to go from the bottom to the top. So we have, starting off with Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was not very good, but I really enjoyed it. I genuinely thought that it was like, first of all, totally unnecessary, but I loved seeing Maleficent on screen again. I mean, it was so cool to see her, but my only complaint is that she wasn't in it very much. There's like a huge chunk in the middle of the movie where she kind of like disappears for a long time, and it's very confusing. It's really stupid. And I mean, it's not confusing in the scope of the story, but in the scope of like, this is Maleficent's movie, it's kind of confusing. But otherwise, I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was bold of Disney to do such a dark take on a sequel for this story, because if you haven't seen it, minor spoilers, I guess. Michelle Pfeiffer's character is evil, which, I mean, obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you know that she's the bad guy. So she's evil, and she's trying to like kill Maleficent, and just everything about it is so, it's very sinister. Like, she's literally out to commit genocide, and like that's kind of what the movie's about. It's all a big metaphor for immigration and the other, like the othering of people. And I mean, they definitely, like, obviously they take it in such a fanciful way that, the other that they're talking about are people with horns and wings, but it still like stands. And Michelle Pfeiffer even puts the like fairies, like Maleficent's little fairy friends, she puts them in a gas chamber. Like, it was a lot, guys. It was a lot. So it was definitely a lot, but I kind of really liked it just because it was absolutely bonkers. It was so stupid, and it was crazy, and I don't know, I just really, really loved it. But again, I think it's really just because I love Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. Like, any little goofy thing that she does as Maleficent is like my favorite thing in the world. Like, there's this moment in the movie where she like is trying to practice smiling, and she has these big giant fangs, and it's wonderful. It's good. Like, if you liked the first one, then you might like this one. It's a solid maybe that you might like it. For sure. So the next movie that I want to talk about is Official Secrets. This is a Keira Knightley. It's kind of a period drama, but it's like, the thing is that it's set in like the 2000s, like early 2010s, like late 2000s kind of. It's like whenever not Vietnam, oh my God. Whenever we went to like Iraq and Afghanistan, that's where it's set, because the premise of this movie is that Keira Knightley leaks this information that the United States government and the British government are basically kind of blackmailing other countries to declare war on Iraq to, like, for their own gain, so that they can go to war in Iraq. Like, they were manipulating the United Nations is basically what was happening. And so Keira Knightley, she works for the British government, and what she does is she takes the memo and leaks it to the press, and then she gets caught for it and everything. It's a really interesting movie, just simply for historical context, because I actually had no idea about this stuff. I'm 20 years old, so I was only maybe 8, maybe 7, I don't know. Whenever we went to Iraq, I was very young, so I don't know a whole lot about that. I don't take the time to go back and research that much either. So it was definitely interesting to see this story be told, because it's based on a true story. So I thought it was very interesting. I love Keira Knightley. I love to go see any of her little period dramas that she does, any of her little indie movies that she does. I really thoroughly enjoy going to see them because they're just so, I don't know, artsy fartsy movies. So I really liked it. I would definitely recommend just like renting it and just to get the historical context, because I thought it was very interesting. So next on this list is Detective Pikachu, which I thought was so fun. It was like a blast in the theater. It was so funny. It was super cute. I just really, really enjoyed this movie. It was just really like stupid and fun. And you know what? It was such a cool experience to see live action Pokemon on screen and then have them not be creepy. like they totally could have gone the Sonic original design direction, but no, he's such a cute little baby and I just want to touch him. I want to hold him. Let me hold Detective Pikachu, 2K19 or 2K20. Can't say 2K19 anymore. So I don't know. I love Detective Pikachu. It's just so cute, so fun. And it really was just a fun movie about friendship and camaraderie and the relationship between a dad and a son. And it was just very sweet. It was a very sweet movie. And you know what? All of the neon lights in it were so cool. Like it had such a cool aesthetic, because in the city that they're in, I can't remember the name, but you know what I mean, like the city in Pokemon that they're in, it's all neon lights, it's all like all these flashing signs, all kinds of stuff. It's so cool and it just makes it look like this Blade Runner thing going on. It's really cool, but it's like a Pokemon movie, so I really enjoyed that one. And then next on the list we have Jumanji: The Next Level, and these movies are also a whole lot of fun. The first one was so funny, and this one is as well. I think that they're both like the same, like they're on the same level. Like I couldn't say that the first one was better than the second one or whatever, but just they're so good, and they're truly like a masterclass in characterization, because they will switch between characters during the movie, and like Karen Gillan all of a sudden is Danny DeVito, like whatever. And so it's so refreshing to see that kind of like character work be done and have it not feel trivial, because again, like Jack Black's character, he plays for the first one, and then part of the second one he's a teenage girl. Like a teenage girl is like playing Jack Black's avatar. And for me, it could have felt very, very, very trivialized, very like stereotypical. Like it could have just like been surface level, but the way that he plays this teenage girl is just so cool. And it just feels like he has a respect for teenage girls that you just don't often see in media. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. Danny DeVito is awesome. The Rock, Awkwafina is great in this movie. She's not in the first one, but she's in this one, and she's so good. It just was really cool. And I'm not gonna spoil it because it's been out for a couple weeks. Okay, Jumanji spoilers. Come back in like 30 seconds. Okay, so at the end of the movie, when they teased that when they showed that the game is now coming into real life, I literally like dropped it in the theater. I was so excited. Oh my god, it was insane. I'm so excited to see it like fully come full circle with the original, and then for it to be over, and I'm so excited. Love this Jumanji trilogy. I'm so excited to see it. Anyway, end of Jumanji spoilers. There we go. And the next one on my list is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Now, I have issues with this movie. I have very large issues with this movie, but my issues with this movie do not outweigh the things that I love about this movie. I was going to do like a whole episode about The Rise of Skywalker before it came out, but then I decided that I just really didn't want to think too hard about it. Because everyone else is thinking so hard about it that I'm just like, I'm going to turn my brain off about Star Wars. But I did thoroughly enjoy it. I cried so many times just because, you look at the screen and you're like, damn, this is the last time that I'm ever going to see Rey, or that I'm ever going to see Leia, or that, especially like Carrie Fisher, like this is her last role on screen. And this is the last time that I'm going to see Luke or whoever, so it was really sad to, see all of my friends, like my little Star Wars friends go. I was like C-3PO. I'm just getting one last look at my friends. Like that was me. And especially because I didn't like the Last Jedi very much at all. I genuinely did not enjoy that movie. So to have this movie be the last one was just really, really sad. Because I feel like JJ truly deserved another one. He deserved to be the helm of all of these movies. I don't know why they did what they did, but they did it and it's over, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, all of my issues from this movie spout from the same character. It's all about Kylo Ren. I hate him. I cannot stand him. I just don't like him. And I know that a lot of people feel the same way, and I refuse to call him Ben, because he was not Ben. He's a Nazi still, and just the kiss doesn't happen if you don't look at it. Just close your eyes. That's how I feel about the movie, but I love it. I love Rey. I love that she got to do stuff this movie, because in the last one, she didn't get to do stuff. She just like got stuff done to her, and so that sucked. But I really liked it. If you haven't seen it, you could still go see it, because I think it's genuinely a good time. It's intense. Like we go, like right when the movie picks up, you start running, and then we do not stop until the end. Like it is a full marathon to watch this movie, because they had to fit so much stuff in it just to tie everything together that it just like, woo, it's crazy. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, just go see it. It's really good. It's really fun. So Captain Marvel is the next one that I have on my list, and it's a great female superhero movie. It has its flaws for sure. I think my main issue with it, and I mean, it definitely doesn't feel that way after you see it again, but the thing is that like, since Carol doesn't know who she is for like most of the movie, you don't know who she is for most of the movie, so you have like a hard time connecting with her for most of the movie. But on a rewatch, like it's great, because you know who Carol is, and you can go and just jump right in. It's great. And I will never hear Just a Girl by No Doubt the same ever again. I'll never hear it the same. So good. Such a great sequence. I really love this movie. I thought it was cool. Also, I love how they decided to make the Avengers basically like about Carol, like, because she had her on her plane was the word Avenger or something like that. So then Nick Fury said Project Avenger, and that was that. And they like said, yeah, the Avengers got their name because of Carol. Like Carol was the first Avenger, not Captain America. Surprise. And I thought that was really fun, because I love when they ruin a good old fanboy's day. I love that. So next we have Charlie's Angels. Genuinely one of my favorite movies of the year. I loved it so much, and it was so unfairly bombed by critics and angry men online, when it was genuinely such fun. It was so much fun, and the story was great, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, it was a silly, sexy action flick, and that's what we deserved in the year of our Lord 2019. And Elizabeth Banks gave it to us, but unfortunately, we let her down. And I mean, I saw it 3 times in the theater, so I did not let her down, but everyone else did. And but I really, really loved this movie. I thought it was so fun, so good. Like I said, I'll probably do an episode about Charlie's Angels and Pitch Perfect and Elizabeth Banks in the future, but for now, I just really, really loved this movie, and I thought it was just so good. I think that like the attention to detail that Elizabeth Banks like puts into this is just so underappreciated. It is way more like thematic than, you might think. It's not just like your surface level action flick. So I really loved it. If you haven't seen it, it'll probably be able to rent on digital pretty soon. So I would totally watch it if if you can spare like $5, totally go rent it. I really, really loved it. All right, so now those really were all movies that I just kind of, I thought were fun, or were this, or were that, But here's where we get into the movies. I have 3 of them. 3 movies that were just had more like that were genuinely good, because sometimes I love a movie and it's bad. Like, you will see when we get to my best of the decade, or my faves of the decade movie list, there are bad movies on there, but I love them. But these movies are genuinely amazing. They're genuinely good. Their critics agree with me. They're so good, and I'm really excited to talk about them. So Hustlers is a movie that I just loved. And it just like takes place over the course of 5 years. It's about these strippers who start robbing from men. And like the performances were so good. Like J-Lo is absolutely just incredible. Constance Wu. I mean, even Lily Reinhart and Keke Palmer were just like delightful as their little partners in crime. And it's so cool because you could tell that this that this movie is directed by a woman. And it's so incredible because like there's scenes in a strip club and they're so well done and they're respectful. Like, I didn't feel gross watching them. Like, people had their titties out, but I still didn't feel gross because it didn't have that like male gaze thing going on. Like, they just were there. Like, there was no like close-ups or anything. Like, it wasn't like, do you know what I mean? Like, if a man was directing this movie, then that there'd be some close-ups. But there was none of that. It was all very respectful. It was all super cool. And I think that the success of this movie really genuinely lies in just how earnest it is. Like, it is so honest and real and earnest. And it's, the circumstances are totally over the top, and we can all, but we can all relate to wanting to give your kids and loved ones the best life possible, and be willing to do anything to give them that. And who doesn't want to steal from the rich sometimes? I mean, really, it's just like a wonderful movie that I think was so cool. And it was such a moment because middle-aged women don't get movies very often that they can connect to and that they like. So I was super, super happy to see that they were able to get a movie and that they liked it, So that's awesome. Next is Little Women. It is beautiful. This movie is gorgeous. Like, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful film. It's like pleasing to the eye, but then also pleasing to the soul. Like, it's a masterclass, honestly, from Greta Gerwig. Like, I went in, I've never read Little Women, I've never seen any of the other movies, but this story is so accessible, and she perfectly blends these flashback scenes with these present day scenes, and it had me laughing and crying and laughing while crying, and I was just so blown away by how attached Greta was able to make me to every single one of these characters in the film. Like, literally every single character you feel attached to and you feel like you know them. And Amy is like the standout of this movie. Florence Pugh is literally like the standout actress of 2019. She ruled this year. And to say that she is the standout of this movie might even be like a disservice to her performance. She's just so good. She is just phenomenal. And Saoirse Ronan obviously is amazing, and Beth and Meg, who are played by Eliza and Emma, are both amazing, and Laura Dern and Meryl Streep are great. I mean, Timothée Chalamet is there. He's there for sure. So I did feel like it was a little quick to end, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. Go and like run, do not walk to see this movie in the theater, because it's such a great experience, because I believe it was shot on film, and you just see it and it's just so pretty. Like, you have to see this movie on a big screen. Like, if anything, go see Little Women. Like, if you don't see any other movie this holiday season, go see Little Women. So my number one movie of the year is Booksmart. I love Booksmart. I was actually going to do a whole episode on Booksmart, but then I just decided not to. I love Booksmart. It's the best movie of the year. I'm not even joking when I say that it is literally the best movie of the year. I mean, like, first of all, I relate to this movie very deeply because I, like Amy and Molly, I never like partied in high school. I was kind of a loser. I just stayed at home. I had friends and stuff, but like I just wouldn't go party with them. So watching this movie, I kind of felt like I lived vicariously through them. And that was really, really lovely to do. And this film is just so unbelievably well written. Like, the characters, they all seem to be these like stereotypes until they all, like literally all of them, like subvert these stereotypes in some way. Like Hope, when she's like the pretty mean girl, and then at the end of the movie, she's bringing Amy her underwear back, like she's being nice. Like, and AAA, like she doesn't completely subvert the stereotype because you don't have to be sexual but not smart, or smart but not sexual. Like, those aren't mutually exclusive. And she's allowed to be incredibly smart and incredibly sexual, which is super cool. So I loved that when the girls arrived at the party, that they didn't get like laughed at. Like, I was so scared that when they were walking into this party, Nick's party, when they finally make it there, I was like, oh no, and now here we go. They're gonna make fun of the girls that showed up. No, they're not. They're not gonna do that. They just embrace them, and it was so lovely. And I love that in the end, like, the conflict didn't come from Molly and Amy versus the world. It was like Molly and Amy working out their internal differences and the things that have kind of been bubbling up over the years. So I love it. And I love that this movie just does Gen Z so well. Like, it does our humor. Like, it feels like TikTok in a weird way, So I loved it. I love Olivia Wilde. Her hands were part of like every step of this movie, and you can feel the love that she has for it. And it's a classic. Like, I feel like this is the kind of movie that when I grow up, I'm going to watch and I'm going to be like, hell yeah, that's what we were like. This movie is our generation's Breakfast Club, and it is on Hulu right now. If you have not seen it, please go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's just so good. It's just so good. It's so good. So I have some honorable mentions. Frozen 2, which was great. Thought it was better than the first one. Descendants 3, which was great. It's a TV movie, but I love it. I love those movies. I did. I did an episode about them. And then also Bombshell, which was pretty good. They made me feel for those Republicans. They sure did. Also, I want to address some elephants in the room. Some movies that did not make my list. Endgame. It was shitty. So it is not going to be on my list. I did not enjoy it. Also, Knives Out. I hated that movie. It was not good. So that is not on my list either. All right. So for some TV that I loved in 2019, here's where you're really going to see that I literally just watched CW shows. It's kind of pathetic, but earlier this year in 2019, Riverdale, the second half of season 3 was airing, and I loved it. It had so much great Shoney stuff. I loved the wrap up at the end. I liked the Gargoyle King storyline. I just thought it was a really great season of Riverdale, and I know that Riverdale is ridiculous. I know that Riverdale is stupid, but I think in terms of LGBT representation, it's definitely a front runner in some cool ways. Until we get to season 4, and then Cheryl is stuffing her dead brother's body and hanging on to him and talking to him like he's real. That is where I draw the line. I'm gonna start watching Riverdale season 4 once Cheryl gets rid of the body. I think she did, so after this break, I'm gonna have to start watching Riverdale again. But I was just mad about that, because, like, really? Your only lesbian character, and you're gonna make her stuff her brother's body and then keep it. And then have Shoni be like, I'm gonna ride or die. Like, it's fine. We're gonna keep your brother's body. Like, what? No. But again, I mean, it's typical treatment for Riverdale. So, like, it's not technically, like, any different than anything anybody else has ever done. I mean, we did all see Dark Betty. But still, I was a little mad. So, definitely Riverdale Season 3B was pretty damn good. Next up, Runaways, Season 3. I adore this show, and I am so sad that it is over. I'm also not caught up yet. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't had time, so no spoilers, please. But everything that I've seen so far is so good, and I just love Carolina. I love Nico. I'm gonna miss my kids so much. I'm just so sad about them. And then next, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 2. I really love this show. I think it is so cool. It is definitely Riverdale's pretty cousin. Like, no, Riverdale is the ugly stepsister to Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Because, like, Sabrina is just, it's so, like, it feels like, I mean, it definitely has that Netflix, like, flair to it, where it feels kind of like an indie movie. Like, it's very artistic, it's very pretty, it's very well shot, like, whereas, you know, like, Riverdale, you know, it has that cable TV vibe where some of the shot, like, it's not super artsy in its design, but, like, with Sabrina, you have, like, the, kind of, like, the vignette around the edge and, like, all these kind of like crazy artistic shots and stuff. So I really enjoy it. I think Sabrina, just like as a character, is one of my favorite characters. She's so cool. I love her like fight with the darkness inside of her, and I'm so excited to see her go to hell and find her boyfriend, which is great. And then obviously, you know my feelings about this show. Supergirl Season 4B is one of my faves of 2019. I enjoyed it so much. Genuinely. It was one of their best. It was some of their best work. And I mean, I talked about it in my top 10 best episodes of Supergirl. Or what did I say? Oh, it was my Supergirl critical ratings episode where I talked a lot about Season 4 and how much I loved it, specifically Season 4B. So I genuinely think it was some of the best superhero TV that I watched in 2019, along with 5A. I think 5A has been really great, and obviously you all know my thoughts about 5A because you've been listening to them, so check those episodes out. And Batwoman as well is one of my faves of 2019. So good. And honestly, you all know my thoughts on this show too. If you don't know, if you're new here, every week before I talk about Supergirl, I talk about Batwoman for a little bit, very briefly. But I genuinely think that Batwoman has given me one of the best like representations of an LGBT character in a really long time, of a lesbian character in a really long time. Like, Kate Kane is everything and more. Like, I love Kate Kane, and it is so cool. I'm so excited to just see her kind of be lesbian Oliver Queen, because, you know, she's gonna open this gay bar, which is awesome, and I'm just so excited. So, and then Alice, obviously, you know that I rant and rave about Alice all the time. She's my favorite villain ever. I just love her so much. So I love Batwoman. And then also Nancy Drew, which is also on the CW. Nancy Drew has kind of become my Riverdale replacement. If you're looking for like the mystery and suspense that Riverdale kind of like promised in the first episode, then definitely check out Nancy Drew, because it's basically like the twists and turns and suspense and kind of like supernatural tease and all of that stuff that Riverdale is, but without the incest and stuffed corpses and off-brand D&D and Jughead. You know, you don't have to look at Cole Sprouse like that. You don't have to hear him say, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in. I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? No, that's weird. Like, that doesn't happen in Nancy Drew. It doesn't. It's so good. I really love it. And honestly, like, you know, I was just talking about how Riverdale sometimes doesn't feel like as artsy. This show definitely feels artsy. Although it does have a little too many jump scares for my taste. I get annoyed with the jump scares because I hate horror movies and I hate being scared, so I get a little bit annoyed by the jump scares, but I think the story is really good. I just love it, and it's so cool because they really diversified the cast and everything, so I love it. I love Nancy Drew. I would totally check it out, and I think that all the episodes are still available on the CW app if you want to catch up, because I really love them. And my best favorite show of 2019, which I genuinely think is the best show of 2019, because most of this other stuff was like favorites, but this is like best show of 2019, is Dickinson. I did a whole episode ranting and raving about Dickinson. It was an hour long. You can check it out if you would like to hear my in-depth thoughts. But it is definitely a must-watch for me. It is so good. It is just phenomenal. Like, I love Dickinson. Everything about it is so good. The humor, the drama, just everything about it is so good. It's so different. It's so out there. And I think truly it is totally worth it to pay like $5 to Apple for 1 month just to like binge the whole thing and then just quit. Like, just do that. It's just... like, this is recommended viewing, but it's like very strongly recommended viewing. Like I could not recommend this show enough, genuinely. So okay, so now I want to move on to my best of the decade, and I guess my favorites of the decade. This is not an exhaustive list, just my favorite seasons of shows and movies that came out in the decade. There's really not some in order to any of this. It's just some stuff that I watched and I wanted to mention. Also, all mentions from 2019, like, if I talk about, like, I think I don't actually put Dickinson in my favorite TV of the decade, but it's in there. Like, I talked about it for 2019, so all of my stuff from 2019 is all in this other list as well. Like, they all apply to my favorite of the decade, but I just didn't want to talk about them again, unless I had something new to say, because you'll hear me talk about Supergirl in a minute, but I have something new to say. So here we go. One of my favorite shows of the decade was Teen Wolf, which went from 2011 to 2017. I stopped watching after Allison died, but season 3 was just so good that I had to mention this show. And I mean, who could forget the iconic line, "Where are you getting your juice?" And then Scott says, "My mom does all the grocery shopping." It's just so good. Like, it was one of those, like, it was one of those shows that was like one of the pioneers of this genre that like Riverdale is trying to be. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of the like supernatural teen drama shows. Like, it was like Teen Wolf, Vampire Diaries, and Pretty Little Liars were like the thing of the decade, So I loved this show. And I mean, Tyler Hoechlin, he's my mans. I love Tyler Hoechlin. He's a great Superman. And if you feel so inclined, he's a great Derek Hale on Teen Wolf. So definitely check this show out if you haven't seen it, because it's just silly and stupid, but it's really fun. And I think it's really creative, like teen... it's like a really creative teen supernatural show that I really like, and it's got gay characters in it. So there you go. That's one thing that the Vampire Diaries cannot say, that there's gay characters in it. And so next I want to talk about Arrow, which ran from 2012 until 2020. It pioneered the superhero TV show, and it truly made people believe that superheroes on TV could be cool. I mean, we had Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, and we had 90s Flash and everything, but Arrow was cool, like Arrow was cool. I mean, I feel like obviously the opinion around Arrow has changed a little bit ever since season 4 of Arrow, but in the beginning, Arrow was cool. Arrow was I'm not gonna curse. Arrow was the bomb. Like, it was the shit. And like Smallville, yeah, we had, but it wasn't really a superhero show. Like Like, this was like superhero, gritty drama, like vigilante shenanigans, and I love it so much. And it truly changed everything. Like, it obviously launched an entire universe, the Arrowverse. And I just think it made people believe in the TV superhero. Like, it genuinely did. It was just great. I don't know. I loved Arrow and what it brought to us, you know, because like without Arrow, we wouldn't have Flash. Without Flash, we wouldn't have Supergirl. Without Supergirl, we wouldn't have Legends. Without Legends, we wouldn't have Batwoman. Without Black Lightning, all of this stuff. Like, we wouldn't have all of these cool ass shows that we have without Arrow. And so it all kind of came from that. And like I said, it made people believe in the TV superhero, which was so cool, and something that I don't think that they were trying to do. I think that obviously they were just trying to make a good show. I don't think that they were out to create this whole universe, but they did, and it's so cool. So my next mention is Pretty Little Liars, which went from 2010 to 2017, and I love this show. It was a magical show. I actually didn't watch it while it was originally airing. I actually only watched the last season, like, as it was airing. So I sat and binge watched it. It was the longest show that I've ever binged. I've never been able to watch another show that has been that long ever again, like, binge wise, like, because it had so many seasons. I binged like 6 years of television over one summer. It's just so addicting, like the drama, the mystery. And yeah, the ending wasn't good, or I mean, it was fine. The ending wasn't great, but the journey to get there was just so enthralling and so just like, it was everything, and it was awesome. Like, it truly walked so that Riverdale could run. It was kind of like the OGU. It was like everything. It was so good. And like, it was one of my first sources of LGBT representation on TV. You know, we had Shay Mitchell playing Emily Fields, and, you know, we had, I mean, unfortunately, she had a revolving door of girlfriends, which really sucked. Because everyone else had like a consistent love interest throughout the whole damn thing. So that was kind of shitty, but I really enjoyed it still. And I don't know, I loved it. I will never forget this show. It's truly one of my favorites. And every Halloween, I always rewatch the season 4 Halloween episode, because it's my favorite episode of Pretty Little Liars, period. So good. So now I'm going to talk about a show called Faking It. It ran from 2014 to 2016. I think it was ahead of its time. It was a show that was ahead of its time. It was about two girls who pretended to be a couple, and they were best friends. But then one of them actually starts falling for the other. And it was my first ever show with LGBT rep. I was so into this show. I still rewatch it every once in a while. It just was so good. Like, they go to this high school where, in Texas, I think, they go to this high school, and the people who would be like deemed unpopular are popular, and the people who are deemed like who would be popular are unpopular. Like, it is so funny and it is so good, and I don't know, I love it so much. And it was, like I said, my first experience with LGBT representation. Actually, that was my first experience watching like recaps as well. Like, I would watch the episode, and then I would go on to the Gay Women channel on YouTube. You're an OG if you remember when they were actually called the Gay Women channel. I would go on their YouTube channel and watch their recaps of Faking It. And if you watch the bold type, that is this was Katie Stevens' role that I first saw her in. She plays Karma on Faking It. So I genuinely enjoyed this TV show. I don't know, it definitely won't be remembered as like best of the decade, but it's in my list, so I'm remembering it. I'm thinking of it always. And you know what? They included an intersex character on their show. And that was the first time that I had ever seen an intersex character on television. I thought that was awesome. So that was great. That was really cool. Another best of the decade, in my opinion, favorite of the decade, is Killing Eve, but only season 1. For me, it ended after season 1. I don't know. I wasn't a super huge fan of season 2. I don't know. That's just me, though. That's why it didn't make it on my 2019 TV list, because I wasn't super into season 2, but maybe I'll try and watch it again. But season 1 for me was just so good, and I feel like it could have just ended there, and you just wouldn't know what happened to them, and I was content with that. I was like, hell yeah, that was great. So I just loved it. I thought season 1 was great. It was awesome. Oh, it started in 2018, and it has yet to end. Also, Runaways. Season 1 of Runaways is one of my favorite seasons of superhero TV ever. It covers all of my teen drama wants and needs while also still being a superhero show. And I loved when they were still living with their parents, because that kind of created this like extra element of suspense that I really enjoyed. I still enjoy the other 2 seasons, but season 1 just like has this thing where it's like they're still with them, so they've got to like sneak around and try and defeat them while they're still like living with their parents. So I thought that was really cool. Oh, it ran from 2017 to 2019. And then we also have The 100. Surprise! This one's on my list. 2014 to 2020. It is ending next year. Thank the Lord Jesus Christ. For me, season 2 and also the first half of season 3 were just pretty perfect. I loved them. And I really actually enjoyed season 1 as well. And I thought that, but especially season 2 was such a great season of TV that truly deserved to continue to be good. But it was like slashed, obviously, by Lex's death and like this nonsensical tech-based storyline. I was super into the Grounders. I thought that they were the most interesting part of both season 2 and season 3. And also in season 1 as well. But then they like totally eradicated them, and then they were like, care about this technology. And I was like, no, I don't care about that. I care about all the people that you just killed. Like, it was terrible. So I season 2 of The 100, like if you go on Netflix and you just watch season 2 and then you just watch season 3 and then you just quit when Lexa dies and you cry for a weekend, go for it. Like, because it's good, but then it just got bad. All right, so now I'm going to talk about Supergirl, which ran from 2015 until hopefully forever. Maybe they'll never quit making it. Again, you know my feelings about Supergirl, but this show was huge, truly. It's the first female-led superhero show to hit 100 episodes, and it made such a huge impact in the world of female superheroes. Remember, Supergirl was on TV before there was a female solo movie in the MCU. Like, Supergirl was out here making strides, like doing the damn thing, and it succeeded. Like, it continues to be one of the CW's most successful shows. It's just so good. And like, yeah, Marvel had Agent Carter, but then they canceled it. Like, they canned it. Like, Supergirl made it. And she continues to make it, and it's so cool, and I'm so excited, and I just love Supergirl. You know that. And then I'm going to talk about Legends of Tomorrow, seasons 2 and 3. This show started in 2015 as well, and it is still going. Season 2 and 3 of Legends are perfect to me, and they can do no wrong. Season 4 was fine. I liked the first half, but then I kind of fell off the wagon, so I need to finish it before it comes back for season 5. But season 2 and season 3 are just genuinely some of the best some of the best seasons of TV that I've seen in a long time. Like, just the goofiness and the way that they embraced everything, like just the camaraderie between the team, like everything about the show is so good. It has so much heart, but so much humor that it just is perfect. I love those seasons. And then also I've got Merlin in here. Technically it started in 2008, but it ended in 2012, so I feel like it counts. So it's a little before the start of the decade, but it ended within, so it totally counts. The best seasons, 4 and 5, were in this decade, so they totally count. Morgana was the hero of the story, end of the day. the show. This is the show that made me want to get into television. Like, I watched Merlin and I said, hell yeah, I'm gonna be in television. Like, I want to work on a set, like all of this stuff. Like, it was magical for me, this show, and I couldn't not talk about it, even though it started a little bit before the decade. So now I'm going to talk about movies, and I promise I will wrap up soon. This is getting very long. So I broke down my movies based on, I decided to go through the years. So I went favorite movie of 2010, favorite movie of 2011, and so on and so forth until 2019. 2018, because I obviously already went through all of my 2019 favorite movies. So for 2010, the movie that I picked was Eclipse. The Twilight Saga, Eclipse. Yeah. So recently I have come to watch all of these Twilight movies. If you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I'm so obsessed with Twilight and I can't stop talking about Rosalie Hale. You know that, so I'm sorry to bother you in the podcast about it, but I had to include Eclipse as my 2010 movie of the year because genuinely I cannot remember any like dumb animated movie that I probably saw in 2010. So I think that one's like, it was good. It's my favorite Twilight movie. I just thought that all the like fighting and the wars and stuff, I thought it was very urgent. It felt more urgent than any of the other Twilight movies, especially when you start looking at that CGI baby. Ooh, yeah. So yeah, I like them. I think we should bring them back. I think we should start talking about Twilight again so that I'm not alone. So my movie of 2011 is The Hunger Games. And I love this movie. I think it's great. It's not as good as the other ones cuz they had this guy, I don't remember who directed it. David something, but he did it, and it makes me a little seasick because it's just the camera work is so shaky that you're like, oh, I'm gonna vom, let me off the ride. But The Hunger Games is my favorite franchise, like based on a book. It's the only book series that I've ever actually read to completion. What you can gather, I guess, from this episode is that I don't complete things like literally ever. Like, I just do not complete anything. I just leave it alone. Oh shit. Also, in my best TV of the decade, I meant to mention Lucifer. Season 2 of Lucifer is one of my favorite seasons of television ever. I know I said that about like 3 other things, but listen, season 2 of Lucifer is like perfection. It is so good. Anyway, back to movies. So yeah, The Hunger Games is like the only book series I've ever finished. Couldn't finish Harry Potter, couldn't finish Divergent, couldn't finish Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson, couldn't do any of that, but I finished The Hunger Games because I loved it so much, and the movies were no different. I just genuinely enjoyed them a whole heck of a lot. So from 2012, my favorite movie is Pitch Perfect. Obviously, you know that I love Pitch Perfect so much. Such great movies. Just incredible. 2013, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. A lot of people say that this is their favorite book of The Hunger Games. It's not my favorite book. Mockingjay was my favorite book. I really liked all the political aspects of it, but I think this might be my favorite movie just based on the way that they did it and the way that they were able to convey the quarter quell and everything. So, and I didn't have to watch Finnick die in this one, so So from 2014, now here's where I get into like seriously watching movies, because obviously back in the day, I would just see some stuff and that was it. Now I'm like a connoisseur. So my favorite movie of 2014 is Paddington, the movie based on the bear. Absolutely. I love Paddington so much. It is truly a beautiful movie. Like, it is so creative. It is so well done. It is so beautiful, like, to look at. It has this like childlike innocence about it. It's just wonderful. It's so good, and I just adore it so much. So I'd totally check it out if you haven't watched it yet. It's a kids movie, like quote unquote kids movie, but it's beautiful. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. I love everything about it. I also have some honorable mentions. So Mockingjay Part 1 is in my honorable mentions. Tammy, the Melissa McCarthy movie, Maleficent, The Imitation Game, and Vampire Academy. Vampire Academy is so bad that it is good. I had this idea to do an episode about movies that are so bad that they're good, or like the value of bad movies. I might still do that someday, but like Vampire Academy is everything to me. It is so good. I've seen it a gajillion times. It is horrible though. It is awful. So for 2015, my favorite movie was Pitch Perfect 2. That's one of my favorite movies of all time, is Pitch Perfect 2. It's my favorite of the Pitch Perfect franchise, which is unpopular, but it's just so good. Honorable mentions, The Force Awakens and Descendants. And I think Part 2, Mockingjay Part 2 came out. I forgot to write it down, but I think that came out in 2015. So 2016 was a pretty weak year for me. I only had 2 movies that I could think of. Ghostbusters is my favorite. It was so good. And I love Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones. Like, this take on Ghostbusters is my favorite. Like, it's better than the original in my opinion. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but I really I loved it more than the other ones. So, and then an honorable mention that I have is Hidden Figures, which is a really good movie. So, yeah. And then 2017 is a bit packed, and so is 2018. My favorite movie of 2017 was probably Wonder Woman, but some honorable mentions include Thor Ragnarok, Murder on the Orient Express, which is a beautiful movie. Kenneth Branagh is such a visionary. I love his work. It's so good. Like, if you haven't seen it, please go check out Murder on the Orient Express from 2017. Power Rangers, Pitch Perfect 3, the Carmilla movie, and Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Also Power Rangers, best superhero movie of 27, or best superhero team up movie of 2017. Cause Justice League also came out in 2017 and that was not good. So Power Rangers, best superhero team up movie of 2017. If you haven't seen it, I think it's still on Hulu. You could go watch it. It's a really good time. Like, it's so fun. It's just great. It's everything that you want like a superhero team up movie to be, and more. And Elizabeth Banks is in that one too. She plays Rita Repulsa. She's pretty damn good. And then 2018, my favorite movie of the year was probably A Simple Favor. Super good, super great. I love Anna Kendrick. She's like the love of my life. Blake Lively is incredible. And then some honorable mentions include Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Ocean's 8, Colette, which is a great gay movie. If you haven't seen it yet, please go check it out. It's on Amazon. It's on Prime Video if you want to watch it. It's really good. It's a Keira Knightley movie. She plays this writer who realizes that she's gay, and it's based on true story, so it's like based on your LGBTQ history. So go check it out. Love, Simon, Tomb Raider, Aquaman, and then Can You Ever Forgive Me was a great movie from 2018, starring Melissa McCarthy, also based on true story, also about a writer. Lots of theme. I have a theme here. But this was one of her best performances. It's not a comedy. It's a fully dramatic movie, but it's great. It's also LGBT history. She's gay, so go check that out too. And then I just wanted to talk really quick about LGBT representation over the decade. So at the start of the decade, out of 587 series regular characters on broadcast TV, 23 of them were LGBT. So some big names included Teddy Montgomery, 90210 on the CW, Kalinda Sharma on The Good Wife on CBS, Arizona and Callie on ABC's Grey's Anatomy, Kurt, Blaine, Santana, and Brittany from Glee, Mitch and Cam from Modern Family, and then there were 35 LGBT series regulars on cable, including Emily Fields on Pretty Little Liars, and then also shout out to like the often sexually ambiguous vampires on True Blood on HBO, and then even to Teen Nick for including LGBT characters in Degrassi. And then at the end of the decade, out of 879 series regular characters across broadcast networks, 90 were LGBT. That means that 10% of series regular characters are LGBT. That is the highest number that GLAAD has ever seen. All of these numbers come from the GLAAD Where We Are on TV report. They've been doing this report for 15 years, and this is the highest that this number has ever been, which is so cool. And the CW is the leader in LGBT rep, and I did a whole episode about that if you would like to learn more about the CW's impact and contribution to LGBT rep. It's the second episode that I ever put out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my decade/2019 roundup. This is my favorite stuff of the year, and I hope you enjoyed it. I want to hear what your favorite things of the year were. Tell me your favorite TV shows of 2019. Tell me your favorite movies of 2019. Definitely give me movie recommendations. Definitely give me show recommendations. I cannot promise that I'll ever finish the show, but I'll definitely finish a movie. And also, tell me what your favorite things of the decade were. Let me know. I'm really anxious to hear what you all have to say. You could tweet me at Televised Pod. You can leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate on iTunes, whatever you do. Follow on Spotify. Do all the things. And I will see you guys when the crisis returns. Bye.